video, I'm going to show you 6 common causes of guitar speed plateaus. Now, what's a speed plateau?
It's some kind of infection in your tummy where you get diarrhea forever.
That's when you practice guitar every single day, trying to build your guitar speed the best way you know how, but no matter what you do or how you try to practice, you keep hitting your head against the same tempo ceiling week after week, month after month, year after year, and you don't know what to do. And the good news is that all 6 causes of speed plateaus I'm going to show you today are 100% within your direct control. They have nothing to do with things you can't really change, like the size and shape of your hands or how much time you practice, where barring quitting your job, you can't really dramatically increase your practice time. It's all about things you can implement today, you can take action in them today to become a better, faster, and cleaner and more accurate guitar player. So let's dive in. The first cause of speed plateaus is trying to always push your absolute top speed higher and higher. Now, this sounds counterintuitive, so let me unpack this. There are 2 types of maximum speed we have on guitar. Not 1, but 2. The first one is what I call your gun to the head top speed. Imagine somebody put a gun to your head and said, play guitar as fast as possible or I'm pulling the trigger. How fast would your hands move then? That's your gun to the head top speed. The problem with that is that obviously at your gun to the head top speed, your playing is going to sound like crap. You're not going to be in sync, you're going to make all kinds of mistakes, you're going to feel very tense, and it's just not going to be pretty. And that leads me to the second type of your top speed, which is the fastest speed you would want anybody to actually hear you play. This is the speed where your playing is accurate and clean, your hands are in sync, and you feel confident and consistent at that speed. You can call that your real life speed, your performance speed, your consistency speed, your comfortable speed, whatever you want, but just remember these 2 speeds we're going to be talking about throughout this video. If you always try to make your gun to the head top speed faster, there's going to be a bigger and bigger gap between how fast your hands can physically move and the speed at which you would want anybody to actually hear you play. So how do you close this gap? Well, very simple. First, you make a list of the most important guitar technique elements that make speed happen. I talk about them in this video right here. And each of these guitar technique elements has its own threshold of control, meaning at your real life speed, the fastest speed at which you want anyone to actually hear you play, all of these guitar technique elements are perfect. But as you begin to increase your speed past that real life level of usable speed, these guitar technique elements begin to deteriorate one at a time. Here's a visual demonstration to make this more clear. Say your gun to the head top speed is 160 beats per minute and your real life top speed is 110 beats per minute. And also we got some examples of guitar technique elements that we're going to focus on for this demonstration. As we get faster and away from your real life top speed, notice how as we exceed each of the threshold of control of each guitar technique element, your playing is going to sound worse and it's going to feel harder as your speed begins to increase because you lose more control over each of your guitar technique elements. And as you eventually get to your gun to the head top speed, that's when your playing sounds like complete crap because you have the least control of all. So what you want to do if you want to close the gap between your real life top speed and gun to the head top speed is first of all identify exactly what is going wrong with each of the elements of your guitar technique at its threshold, take action to fix it, and once you fix all of them, then not only will your gap close, but your gun to the head top speed will also jump on its own almost automatically. Now, how do you do this exactly? Well, to answer that question, I have to see and hear you play and practice in front of me and teach you all the ins and outs of guitar technique, biomechanics, and proper practicing habits. And if you want, I can help you with that inside my rapid fire guitar practice training program. Link is in the description box below. But the most important thing is to understand the big picture of what we're doing. We're trying to identify where the threshold is with each guitar technique element within your gap between your real life top speed and gun to the head top speed. We got to identify what is going wrong at each threshold, take action to make the threshold go up, and as that happens, the gap is going to close and your speed overall will get faster and cleaner. By the way, if you're enjoying this video right now, go ahead and hit the like button so YouTube knows that you're enjoying this video and it's going to show this video to more guitar players just like you so they can benefit from it as well. Moving on. The second big cause of guitar speed plateaus is focusing way too much on the notes or the exercises you were trying to play, but not enough on the motions that your hands are making. For example, if I were to play a scale pattern like this, a lot of things just happened. And on one hand, yes, I played the notes of the A major scale in different positions of the scale. That's the musical aspect of what just happened. But on a physical, on a technical level that affects your guitar speed, a lot of motions just took place. For example, I used directional picking with my pick. I used several position shifts with the fretting hand. I stayed relaxed as I played the notes up and down. All of those things, all those individual motions have to be practiced. But most guitar players see scale patterns like this as musical exercises, just in terms of the notes or the scale sequencing pattern that they're playing, but they don't really pay attention in minute detail to what each hand is doing, what all the individual motion components are for each hand.
Now that's living in denial.
At best, they try to use their brain to focus on both hands at the same time, but as the saying goes,
can't ride two horses with one ass sugar bean.
what you need to do is identify exactly what the motion components are for each item you're practicing. So if you need to separate the hands and just practice the picking hand motions without the fretting hand, do that. Or if you need to practice the fretting hand motions without using the pick, do that. And then after you refine the motions of each hand in isolation, put them together. And by the way, even though I use the words "and then," I don't mean that you need to focus on the picking hand only for like 2 weeks, and then on the fretting hand for 2 weeks, and then put the two together for 2 weeks after that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you've got, let's say, 15 minutes to practice, spend 5 minutes on the picking hand, 5 minutes on the fretting hand, and 5 minutes on putting the two hands together to work on your synchronization. This way, all elements of your technique are going to improve at the same time. The third cause of speed plateaus is, believe it or not, too much slow practice. And I know this is blowing some people's minds right now, so let me explain. Slow practice on one hand is a wonderful thing. It can solve a lot of problems, can fix a lot of bad habits. On the flip side, it can also create a lot of problems and create a lot of bad habits. That's because at slow speeds, you can get away with a lot of slop in your technique. You can use less than ideal picking hand motions, fretting hand motions. You can have your hands not be totally in sync. You can be more tense than is ideal, and you'll still play well, because at slow speeds, you have so much space between notes, you can make up for a lot of these imperfections. For example, when you're playing slowly, if you have your pinky resting on the body of the guitar like this, and you're using way too much pressure, so there's tension going from the pinky to your wrist, to your forearm, to your upper arm and shoulder, you might still be able to play at slow speeds because you have a lot of space between notes and you can get away with this. But the faster you start to play, the more that tension and the inefficiency of this picking position is going to come back to bite you in the ass. Now, I know there are some great players who play really fast despite having their pinky on the body of the guitar. John Petrucci is one prime example, but those guys are the exceptions who are able to do this without tying their whole picking hand and arm with tension. Almost everybody else who tries to pick this way cannot avoid tension creeping into their body of the guitar, and that's why this position doesn't work for them.
If I were your accountant, I'd have to strongly advise you against it.
So before you set out to do any slow practice, you better know exactly why are you trying to slow down. What specific problem are you trying to solve with slow practice? And second, you've got to know precisely how much do you need to slow down, to what exact tempo. Because of course, slow is a relative term. Sometimes slow practice can mean just slowing down by 10 or 20 beats per minute slower than your gun to the head top speed. And sometimes slow practice can mean barely moving at all, no metronome beeping at all. So you're not focused on the speed or any tempo at all. You're just focused on the motions that your fingers are making. So there's two extremes there. And once you have this clarity on exactly how far you need to slow down, what you need to focus on and how to focus on it, then and only then will slow practice begin to matter and begin to make your speed plateau go away. The next cause of guitar speed plateaus is not doing enough slow practice. So that's kind of the inversion of the previous problem. And this can show up in one of two ways. Some guitar players simply don't slow down enough. In fact, I've had people practice a lick way too fast, and I would tell them, hey, play this at half the speed you're playing right now. They say, okay, and they continue playing at the exact same speed they were playing just a second ago, or sometimes they barely slow down at all. And the problem with that is if you're playing too fast, then your brain can't concentrate on and process all the things that need to be aware of to make your technique better and make your speed plateau go away. So if you're playing too fast to begin with, and if you're not separating the motions from the notes, and if you're not separating the hands like we talked about, then
You're done. End of story.
your technique is not going to improve and your speed plateau is going to stay exactly where it's at. And the second way this shows up is when people slow down to the right level, they slow down enough, but they don't stay there long enough. So that's what I mean by not doing enough slow practice. Sometimes I can get somebody to slow down to ridiculously slow speeds where they need to play temporarily to make their technique better, and they stay there for like 30 seconds or a minute, and then if I don't pay attention to them, then they begin to speed up again, or they just jump from those super slow tempos to the really fast speeds where all the mistakes were happening, and they never get anywhere. So part of my job as a guitar practice trainer inside Rapid Fire Guitar Practice Training is to keep my students on point and keep them on track with staying as slow as they need to, staying within their thresholds at the right time in the right way. So that's when they begin to improve their technique, and of course the speed improves as a byproduct. If you want to know even more about the good, the bad, and the ugly of slow guitar practice, check out this video right here that goes into much more detail about this topic. The next huge cause of speed plateaus is excessive muscle tension. You know how your favorite guitar players make playing fast look effortless? That's because playing fast is effortless for them, since they've mastered the ability to stay relaxed in their body when they play. Now, staying relaxed does not mean to play with zero tension. That's impossible. The only time you have zero tension is when you're asleep. It also does not mean to play with the least amount of pressure or tension possible, because that's not really possible either, since different techniques to play on guitar require different amounts of tension. I mean, compare bending a string to just playing a scale. That should make things pretty obvious. Managing excessive tension in your body is about a few things. It's about hand independence, so that when you're picking really hard with the picking hand, for example, your fretting hand can stay relaxed. It's also about knowing exactly how much tension or how much effort you need for each technique you play, and only using that much, but no more. And third, it's about relaxing the rest of your body, the parts of the body that are not used to play guitar, like your jaw or your feet. Keep those relaxed as well. If you can get those three things under control, then excessive muscle tension won't be an issue for you, and your speed will continue to increase. And finally, the sixth cause of guitar speed plateaus is thinking of guitar speed as a concrete, singular skill. It's not. Guitar speed, as should hopefully become obvious by now, is a result. It's a byproduct of many things coming together in your guitar technique. As we talked about earlier in this video, we talked about the threshold of control with a variety of elements of guitar technique. And as the threshold with each element goes up, that's when your speed goes up as well. That is exactly what I mean by guitar speed being a byproduct or result versus a singular concrete skill. But the reason I put this point here is because your understanding of what guitar speed even is going to influence your mindset, your expectation, your attitude, and the things that you do while you practice. And if you got the wrong idea of what guitar speed is, you're going to travel down the wrong path and chase a whole bunch of shiny objects that are just going to keep you stuck exactly where you are at your speed plateau, not getting any better and not knowing why. I don't want that for you. If you want more help with your guitar technique and guitar practice habits, check out my rapid fire guitar practice training program. It's not guitar lessons. I don't give you any exercises to practice. It is training on how to practice so you get better almost every single time you pick up your guitar. It's training on how to undo your bad habits and refine your technique so that building speed becomes a natural byproduct of all of that. I go through all the things you are supposed to have learned as a beginner, but if you're watching this video until the end, you probably haven't. You probably realize that you have some gaps in your understanding of how to practice and how to train your technique. My program is going to help make those problems go away. And you can go through it even if you don't have a lot of time to practice, because most of my students practice anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes per day. That's plenty enough to see some good gains happening in your guitar playing when you do what I say. If you want to know more about what it's all about, hit the link in the description of this video or go to the page that's on the screen right now. Read the page carefully and then make your decision. If you like this video, hit the like button to let YouTube know that you enjoyed it, so that YouTube will show this video to more guitar players just like you, and they will benefit from it the same way you did. This is Mike Filipov, guitar practice expert from PracticeGuitarNow.com. I'll see you next time.